Welcome to OneCare's Ambulatory Electronic Health Records AEHR course for 11.4.1 upgrade. The following lessons are designed to review the upgrade changes from AEHR version 11.2 to 11.4.1. Upgrade changes are divided into 4 lessons, including the daily schedule and patient profile, clinical desktop, add clinical item ACI, and the note. Each lesson covers changes specific to that topic. In this first lesson, you will learn about the upgrade changes to both the daily schedule and patient profile. Lesson activities include watching a demonstration, then building your skills in a practice scenario. When ready to begin, click Continue. Let's begin with the daily schedule. Please note that we are working in a provider view. In our example, we have already brought our patient, Amber Allscripts, into context by selecting her from the daily schedule. At first glance, there are only a few noticeable changes on the daily schedule. In the patient banner bar, there are 3 icons. The first is the blue eye. The blue eye is still used to access the patient profile for the patient currently in context. We will come back to the blue eye and the patient profile in just a moment. To the right of the blue eye is the yellow triangle with the exclamation point. As with previous versions, the yellow triangle identifies patient profile alerts. In version 11.4.1, when you place your cursor over the patient profile alert icon, a message appears detailing information related to the alert. As with prior versions of AEHR, you can click on the icon to access the patient profile and make any necessary changes. Next to the patient profile alert icon is a new icon containing a red triangle with an exclamation point. This is the View Clinical Alerts icon. Hovering your mouse over the View Clinical Alerts icon displays the number of alerts for the patient in context. Let's click on the View Clinical Alerts icon to see more detail. The Encounter Summary window displays. In our example, Amber has 9 meaningful use alerts that require resolution. Resolving meaningful use alerts can be performed on this screen using right mouse click functionality. For example, if we wanted to update the med allergy status to no known drug allergies, we would simply highlight the alert, right mouse click, and select the option from the list. Notice the additional options that can be selected from this menu. By updating the alert on the Encounter Summary window, the meaningful use alert has been resolved and no longer appears on the list. To save the changes and return to the daily schedule, you would click Save and Continue. We are now back on the daily schedule. Let's review the buttons located across the bottom of the daily schedule. Most of these buttons remain the same and retain the same functionality with the 11.4.1 upgrade. However, there is one new button called the Edit Clinical Summary button. Let's click on this button to review its function. Clicking on the Edit Clinical Summary button prompts the Clinical Summary Editor window to display. On the left side of the screen is a list of different sections of the clinical summary. Each section has a checkbox to the left of the name. If the box has a check, that section will be included in the clinical summary. By checking and unchecking boxes, you are adding or removing sections from the clinical summary. Notice the checkboxes for the patient details and procedure sections are grayed out. Gray checkboxes indicate the section cannot be removed from the clinical summary. Notice the Print Preview option is selected at the top of the list. This allows you to preview how the clinical summary would appear when printed based on the selections made on the left side of the screen. Another function of the screen is to isolate a specific section of the clinical summary to either view more closely or to add comments. This is done by clicking on the name of the section on the left side of the screen. For example, to add a comment related to medications, you would click on Medications on the left side of the screen. Our preview now isolates just medications. In our example, no medications have been documented, but we could add a comment here that would print in the medication section of the clinical summary. Since we do not have any medication information or comments, let's remove the medication section from the clinical summary. To remove the medication section, you would click the checkbox to the left of the word Medications. Prior to printing our clinical summary, let's take another look at the print preview. Notice the print preview of the clinical summary now no longer contains the medication section and has been replaced by the problems section. After completing all changes to the clinical summary, the Generate CS button is used to generate and print the clinical summary. We are now back on the daily schedule. We have completed reviewing the upgrade changes to the daily schedule screen. Now let's review the changes to the patient profile. As with the prior version, you can access the patient profile by either clicking on the Patient Profile button at the bottom of the daily schedule or by clicking on the blue eye in the patient banner bar. The Patient Profile dialog window displays. The first section we'll review is the Patient Alert section. Let's add an alert by clicking on the Add Alert button. The Add Edit Patient Chart Alerts window displays. As in the previous version of AEHR, you would select the checkbox to the left of the option to add the alert. In version 11.4.1, you can select more than 3 chart alerts for each patient. The ad hoc alert box is still available to add any chart alerts not already included in the list. For our example, we will select all of the items listed to demonstrate how this appears on the floating toolbar after we complete reviewing the changes of the patient profile. Now that our selections have been made, we'll click on the OK button. We are now back on the patient profile window. Notice the chart alerts appear in the Chart Alert section. Directly below the Chart Alert section, navigation hyperlinks have been added horizontally across the screen to allow you to quickly move from section to section within the patient profile. Notice the Demographics option displays in bold. Bold hyperlink indicates this section is currently being displayed. Within the Demographics section, notice that the language, race, and ethnicity fields are grayed out. These fields are locked in the newer version and cannot be changed in AEHR. Changes to these fields must be made in the Practice Management System, also known as PPMS. Another change made to the patient profile is related to the Associated Provider section. The Associated Provider section is now called Patient Care Team. The Patient Care Team enables you to document anyone as being part of the patient's care team, including family members. Let's select the Patient Care Team link to more closely review this section. The Patient Care Team section now displays in the patient profile. Current Patient Care Team member information would display in the Patient Care Team pane. To add new members, one of 2 methods is used. If the member is a provider or agency, the Add Provider Agency button is used to search for the provider or agency. If the member of the care team is not a provider or agency, for example, a family member or personal caregiver, you would use the Add Patient Caregiver Resource button. Let's take a moment to walk through both of these processes. First, we'll select the Add Provider Agency button. The Select PCT member window displays. To search for a provider or agency, you have 3 options. You can do a quick search to conduct a search based on a provider or agency name, advanced search to search for a provider or agency name using more detailed information such as address or phone number, or use the Browse Favorites search to obtain a list of providers and agencies previously selected. In our example, we'll do a quick search for a provider with the last name of Allscripts by entering the provider's last name into the quick search field. After the provider's name is entered, the search button is used to obtain the results. The search results display. In our example, we are adding a cardiologist to Amber's patient care team. We'll select Cardiologist Allscripts from the results list by clicking on the checkbox to the left of the provider's name. After selecting the provider, the OK button is used to return to the patient profile. Provider Cardiologist Allscripts now displays in the Patient Care Team field. The second process to add a member to the Patient Care Team is used to add a patient caregiver or resource. Again, this could be a family member or a personal caregiver responsible for the care of the patient. The Add Patient Caregiver Resource button is used to add a caregiver or resource. A new line appears in the Patient Care Team pane. The first field to populate is the Care Team Member field. In this field, we will add the caregiver's name. In our example, let's say the caregiver is Amber's brother. We'll enter the brother's name as Brother Allscripts. The next field is Role. Clicking on the drop-down arrow to the right of the field displays a list of role values. In this example, our caregiver is the patient's brother, so we will select family member as the brother's role. The next field is the relationship field. The drop-down arrow to the right of this field is used to add a relationship for the patient care team member. From the list of relationship values displayed, we'll select brother. The remaining 4 fields are free text fields. You can click in any of these fields and enter information related to that member. You also have the ability to edit existing member information. This is done by using the pencil icon located to the left of the existing member information. Let's demonstrate this function by clicking on the pencil icon. The Patient Care Team Member Details window displays. This window contains the same fields seen on the Patient Care Team pane. It also contains additional fields such as address, zip, phone to, fax, and email. The Patient Care Team Member Details window has already been populated for us. The OK button is used to save any changes and return to the patient profile. We have returned to the patient profile. If you wish to make additional changes to the patient profile, you would use the navigation links to move to that section. When all changes have been made, the Save button at the bottom of the screen is used to save the changes and return to the clinical desktop. We have returned to the clinical desktop. Notice the chart alerts listed in the clinical toolbar. To the right of the chart alerts is a plus sign. This plus sign indicates that there are more chart alerts than can be viewed on this screen. To view the additional chart alerts, you would hover your mouse over the icon and a list of the remaining alerts will display. This concludes the demonstration of the AEHR 11.4.1 upgrade changes to the daily schedule and patient profile. You are now ready to proceed to the practice scenario.